Known for his cautionary tales revolving around biotechnology, author Michael Crichton released his signature novel Jurassic Park in 1990. And 3 years later, Steven Spielberg adapted Jurassic Park into what has become one of the most beloved and well-known movies about dinosaurs in the history of cinema. In fact, when it came out in 1993, Jurassic Park grossed $913 million at the box office, the highest grossing movie of all time until Titanic. So where did it all go wrong? And can Jurassic Park Rebirth redeem the franchise? Empowered by the cinematic advances, Jurassic Park imagines the extreme limits of science and its inevitable consequences. The first movie is probably most well known for fulfilling the wishes of every single child watching, bringing dinosaurs to life. This is why one of the most memorable scenes of the movie is when the cast sees a herd of brontosauruses, otherwise known as thunder lizards, named for its earth-shaking size. Meanwhile, to the injured Triceratops, to the nearly 20-foot tall Tyrannosaurus Rex, the movie's dinosaur models are creations from legendary VFX artist Stan Winston and his team, whose work on Jurassic Park backed him an Oscar for Best Visual Effects. It's the only movie in the franchise to win 3 Academy Awards. Apart from its breathtaking visuals, Jurassic Park also establishes all the big, reoccurring tropes that have now become commonplace in the 7-movie franchise. Jurassic Park also began the trend of showing the first kill during the prologue, not Scream in 1996. The first movie is a perfect combination of Crichton's techno-horror with Spielberg's blockbuster sensibilities. And these tropes will continue well into the Jurassic Park trilogy from the turn of the century. So what happened in the sequels? The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 are the most debated films of the still ongoing franchise. To be fair, these movies do have their merits, but even viewers that like the sequels concede that it doesn't really have the charm that the original Jurassic Park film had. So while the second and third movies grossed $618 and $368 million at the box office, this commercial success doesn't really make up for the narrative pitfalls. Even though the sequels couldn't match up to the way the original brought the dinosaurs to the big screen, they do include a number of interesting creative decisions. While divisive, the quirky Ian Malcolm taking the lead role in the film is something that distinguishes The Lost World from the rest of the franchise. And although the sequel cast is way too bloated to be memorable, even this falls in line with Ian's take on chaos theory, which The Lost World celebrates with its long-running consequences on John Hammond's actions. And the same could be said for Jurassic Park 3. In Spielberg's absence, director Joe Johnston leans into the horror of having these dinosaurs unleashed onto our world in ways that haven't been matched or replicated in any of the succeeding films. Jurassic Park 3 also brings back Alan and Ellie for supposedly their last adventure, the pacing of which greatly improves upon from The Lost World. However, from the copycat cast from The Lost World to the underwhelming finale in Jurassic Park 3, the original trilogy went out on a low note in 2001. Let's also not forget about that raptor in the airplane in Jurassic Park 3, which to this day remains one of the strangest scenes in a Jurassic Park film.
Alan! Alan!
Moreover, as Universal Pictures trusted too much into the hype of the original film, the studio also neglected to market the sequels as they did the original film. And for over a decade, it seemed like this film franchise would never recover. It wouldn't be until 2015 until Jurassic Park would reclaim its place in blockbuster sci-fi, only to fall again in the succeeding sequels. In 2015, the sequel, Jurassic World, actually delivered on the promise that John Hammond originally made to those investors and the audience: a functioning modern theme park with dinosaurs as the main attraction. Jurassic Park grossed a record-breaking $1.6 billion worldwide. Compared to The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World feels like a direct sequel to the original film. So apart from resurrecting a dead franchise, Jurassic World is still the most commercially successful in the entire franchise. Notably, the ghost of Jurassic Park looms large over Jurassic World. But the sequel perfectly uses this to its advantage, leaning into the established tropes and backstory. But with the pacing and VFX advancements of the 2010s, Jurassic World does a stellar job of pulling the franchise into the 21st century. Chris Pratt shines as Owen, the likable new lead star of the Jurassic World series, the alpha leader of a pack of velociraptors. Owen fulfills the deepest fantasies of most longtime fans, actually having a relationship with these fantastic animals. Jurassic World is also where the franchise embraces the most terrifying part of having genetically modified dinosaurs: the inevitable militarization of these ancient predators. So while the presence of Dr. Wu anchors the sequel to the original, Wu's hubris is also what gives rise to the weaponized hybrid dinosaurs, the next big step in the premise that drives the franchise going forward. Imperfect as it is, Jurassic World does exactly what it was set out to do: introduce the franchise to new audiences while reclaiming its place on the echelon of blockbuster films. In fact, after Jurassic World, the two succeeding sequels grossed $1.3 billion and $1 billion worldwide, proving that modern viewers just can't get enough of this franchise. So, what happened? Why aren't the Jurassic World sequels as fondly remembered as the first in the new trilogy? This is where the franchise truly goes off the rails. And it is a pity, because 2018's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom actually poses a worthwhile dilemma for its audience. If a natural disaster is about to kill all the remaining dinosaurs left at the theme park, should we save them, or should we let nature destroy the greatest scientific mistake that we have ever made? While Fallen Kingdom does want to push the boundaries of the core themes that have anchored the franchise, it ultimately fails in executing on these ideas. Despite the aforementioned dilemma being a core part of the plot, Fallen Kingdom only spends a few scenes unpacking the answers. Instead, the movie focuses on upping the levels of action and spectacle. But with the screenplay taking a dip in quality, even the huge clone twist at the end couldn't pull this movie back up. While lots of viewers were expecting another entertaining sequel to the blockbuster Jurassic World, this more felt like filler in order to get to the next chapter. And while there's nothing wrong with interconnected storylines, the payoff wasn't even worth it in the 2022 sequel, Jurassic World Dominion. On paper, Dominion could have been the finale that the franchise actually deserved. After the events of Fallen Kingdom, dinosaurs actually roam the modern world. Like any animal, dinosaurs become subject to the cruelties of global consumerism. But in the end, humans are forced to find ways to coexist with these dinosaurs, ushering in a grand new chapter for this world. The problem is that this isn't the only arc that Dominion is focused on. Yeah, the clone kid also gets kidnapped too, and rescuing her takes Owen and Claire on a wild global adventure. And it doesn't end there. Enter the giant locust, which extends the narrative into the genetic modification of food crops. It was quite an ambitious move, fitting all of this plot into one movie. And even bringing back the original trio of Alan, Ellie, and Ian couldn't save this movie from being a hodgepodge of high-stakes plot, completely devoid of the original simplicity and charm that made the original film so great. With all of that being said, there's really no arguing with the numbers. Collectively, the Jurassic World franchise accounts for nearly $4 billion of the franchise's $6 billion total. Ultimately, the commercial success of the new trilogy means that this franchise is here to stay. In fact, slated to release on July 2nd, 2025, Jurassic World Rebirth is a soft reboot that imagines the aftermath of Dominion and introduces an all-new star cast. Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and Jonathan Bailey team up to secure 3 DNA samples from the 3 world's largest dinosaurs, which are now confined to an area that they probably won't find hospitable. These DNA samples hold a key to creating a new drug that can save countless human lives. Picking up right where Dominion left off, Rebirth seems to be leaning into the animal rights angle, as it focuses on the ongoing and evolving relationship between dinosaurs and humans. Humans have practiced animal experimentation for medical and scientific advancements for centuries. Jurassic Park is one of the few film franchises that can tackle such a sensitive and underrepresented issue in a way that feels organic. On the other hand, however, the premise of Rebirth is not too dissimilar from the original trilogy. Although it's positioned as a soft reboot, it's actually a sequel in the same continuity, just with a different cast and story. And with Jurassic Park and World squeezing every bit of story they can from this premise, is there anything that Rebirth can do to make it different from its predecessors? We're hoping that's the case. But currently, the odds are stacked against Jurassic World Rebirth delivering a worthwhile follow-up to the trilogy. And the fact is, story-wise, the franchise really hasn't offered anything new since Jurassic Park 3. And since the dinosaurs escaped their enclosure in Fallen Kingdom, the franchise has sort of moved away from the isolated adventure on a remote island. Rather, not unlike the seemingly never-ending Fast and Furious saga, the modern Jurassic Park films have transformed into a globe-trotting adventure, barely resembling the cautionary tale that spawned them in the first place. Ironically, the fate of the franchise has come to resemble the fate of the dinosaurs. It should have never been brought back, and now it seems we can't get rid of it. With that being said, there still might yet be hope for the Jurassic World franchise. Rebirth is actually being helmed by Gareth Edwards, the director of critically acclaimed films such as the 2014 Godzilla movie and the Star Wars movie Rogue One. Considering Edwards' resume, he could have what it takes to pull off this ambitious continuation of the Jurassic saga. The addition of an all-new cast is also very promising, as this at least lessens the risk that Rebirth will retread plot lines that are best left in the past. In any case, one thing is for certain: from the franchise's harshest critics to its most eager fans, people will show up to see this film. And it wouldn't be too surprising if Jurassic World Rebirth breaks that billion-dollar box office cap to set a new franchise record. For now, we just have to wait and see whether Rebirth will actually be a good movie or not. But what do you think? What are the chances of Jurassic World Rebirth actually being a better film than its predecessors? Should Universal keep making these Jurassic World movies, or is it high time that the franchise takes a rest? Tell us your thoughts and theories down below in the comments. Thanks for watching Screen Rant, and I'll see you next time.